Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Sumit Shinde, a pediatric occupational therapist and a team leader at TeamCRC. Um, Seen more than 4,000 kids, 4,000 parents. We can say I come across 4,000 families in last 15 years. Uh, Children with various developmental behavior and various learning issues. There's the biggest team of CRC is working all across the Maharashtra. Uh, more than uh, more than 800 kids every year gets treated at CRC, and one of the biggest multidisciplinary team of multi-disciplinary professionals are working at CRC, and for our vision that every child we want to see every child uh, we want to see every child be independent in the future and integrated into the society. In last 15 years, when I come across parents, when we professionals come from colleges, do our education examination, and then start working on experiences, we come across n number of problems in the children. Like when I started with the pediatric field 15 years back, then you know it is very simple to say the child is suffering from autism. It is very simple to say, oh, this is that what we have read in the books. हमने कुछ बुक्स में पढ़ा होता है कि हाँ, these are the symptoms, and if you see these symptoms, then this is something we are seeing in a in a reality. So there used to be a lot of enthusiasm. There used to be a lot of excitement in when we were used to we used to be in the college. I'm from GS Medical College and GS Medical and KEM Hospital. So in hospitals, when we used to see some kind of a rare cases, some kind of a cases which are various cases. It can be medical cases or cardiac or geriatric or neurological, medical, pediatric. So as a part of a student life, we used to be excited to see a new case. But at that time, during the I'm talking about a 15 years back. I'm talking about in the college days. That time we were not very much thinking about what other person is thinking. You know, the person who's lying on the bed, the person who's suffering from some kind of a problem, the caretakers, who are staying there since night and day, and then what we used to do is we were more focused on, let us say, diagnosis, and then our work. We have to do our job and then go home. And very very busy life we had when in the college, and now also we have. But last 15 years, especially when I come into the pediatric field, it's not just about diagnosis. It's not about just treating the child. It's it's when a person in a family is when a big person, an adult, is suffering from some kind of a problem, some kind of a disease or illness. Maybe one person is uh, one person is tries to be one more caretaker is suffering, or one person is 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 uh, is involved in his treatment or some kind of a caretaking. But I know when a child is suffering in a family, then it is a I see that not just that family, the nearby relatives, the neighbors, the friends and families, everybody is concerned about a child. Everybody is involved in a child. Everybody is involved in the decision makings, in the n number of things are these things. In helping that family, helping that child, improving the child. So it's not about a diagnosis what we are dealing with. It's not about the child what we are dealing with. When I started working 15 years back, I used to look at the child. Okay, the child is having some flapping, the child is having some problem, the child is having some kind of things. Then as per my medical uh, uh, treatment protocols, I used to follow it, and then I used to go back home. But later on, Later on, once the child started getting connected with me, I started getting more involved in the child. When I got more involved in a child, I came across that involvement is not just a child, but it was a family also. It was lot of emotions, lot of intentions comes to us. Lot of Most of them are positive, many of them are negative also. Many of them are mixed. Many of them are not. They don't know, or we don't know whether they are positive or they are negative, because we are looking from a professional perspective, and 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 more focus on child, what is right with respect to scientific definitions, what is right as per the scientific science, and then practicability. But when the child is suffering, you know, along with the practicability and scientific, the whole science and practical remains beside, वो बाजू में रह जाता है. And we have to deal with the first thing, what we have to deal with, you know, is emotions, the repercussions of the diagnosis. And this particular thing is very difficult to handle for most of the professionals, because let me tell you, the child who's suffering from, maybe a suffering from autism, maybe a suffering from cerebral palsy, maybe suffering from ASD or ADHD or LD, whatever, except from certain pain. I repeat, a child who's suffering from any kind of a developmental disability, except from certain pain, they are very much comfortable in their own world. The autism child is very much happy in his own world, in his comfort zone. You know, the one who's suffering is the parent, because he or she is feeling, why me? Why it is happening with me? Why my child is behaving like this? Why my child is? It's not inside the child. It's about what is happening around the child, what is happening in surroundings, and that is more important to see, to work upon. And in last 7 or 8 years, when I started looking at a parenting as a more important aspect of child development, in last 7 years, we started looking at a parent as a core. Parent is the center of attention, not just a child, because child is absolutely fine. When we saw the parent's temperament is more important when we are dealing with a child. Parents' positivity is more important when we are transferring our skills and our experiences to the child. The parents' involvement is more important than we getting involved so much with mind, body, soul, and heart. It's very much important that parent. And when this parent is suffering from some kind of a thing, or when the parent is operating from some kind of a inappropriate steps, not right steps. I'm not saying wrong steps. Nobody in this world will think wrong about their own child. So we don't have any. Nobody has any kind of a should have any kind of a justification or any kind of a this thing that that you are doing wrong with your child. But most of the things are what we don't know, what we are supposed to know. There are three different things. We know something. Okay, I know that it is Sunday today. I know that I have to take a webinar today. This is, I know. I don't know. I don't know what my child is doing outside. I don't know what is happening around when I'm taking this lecture. The third thing is, I don't know that I don't know. I'm not aware of certain things which I'm supposed to be aware of. Okay, so that I don't, that I cannot say at all. So I'm going to discuss more about this. We don't know that we don't know what we are supposed to know, and why I'm taking this lecture. Why I'm taking this lecture after taking those 27 or 28, maybe I don't know, more than 40 lectures maybe I've taken. 27 of them are there on the YouTube. I'm taking this lecture today because I feel when I took those lectures, I speak only parenting in these lectures, because I don't speak protocols. I don't speak treatment because this is not a platform to speak about protocols and treatment, because there are 70 or 80 people or 100 people are in front of us. We cannot give, it's and every child is different. So it's unethical and it's not practical to give treatment to everyone. But what I discussed is a parenting in my last all lectures, what right parenting should happen. In that, I got many parents say that what you say is very much important. Just by listening to those lectures, there are many people have changed themselves first, made themselves eligible to be in front of the child, made themselves eligible to get connected with the child, and they started improving the child. The maybe without therapies, maybe without any these things, and with therapies, so definitely lot of the parenting and then therapy protocols. Many kids are doing wonderfully well. So why I feel eligible to take this lecture, because more than 4,000 kids, more than 4,000 parents, when they sit in front of us, and when we start taking the child, when we start taking the first month, second month, third month, we keep goals. Goals are achieved, goals are not achieved. Children improved. Okay. Children nicely integrated into the society. In that experience, experience of all those more than 2,500 kids in my career, where I saw a child from start to end of the treatment. I don't say experience means how many cases you have seen. I always say experience means how many cases you started treating from day one, and you took the child or you took the case to the end of the treatment level. So that I call it as an experience, A to Z. And when I come across all those elements of developmental disability, people involved in developmental disability, I felt this lecture is very important. That when my child is diagnosed with some kind of a developmental disability, what right steps I should take. क्योंकि एक कहावत है, अगर आपकी शुरुआत अच्छी हो, अगर आपकी शुरुआत सही हो, तो एंड सही होने के चांसेस बहुत ज्यादा है. But if you start only is wrong, start only is not right, start only is not very much appropriate, then a lot of impurities will keep coming, and then we don't know where we went wrong. We don't know where exactly, even after a lot of hard work, putting money, putting effort so much, why my child is not developing. So उसका जो reason है वो इसी lecture में है. Maybe my audience, not all of them are just diagnosed with special kids right just now. Maybe you are into the process of treatment. Maybe you are just caretakers, But from today, if you start taking these steps properly, then I feel that the child will start developing every day from tomorrow without anybody's help. That's my word. So let's begin with this lecture. Steps to be followed if your child is diagnosed with a developmental disability. What are the developmental disabilities? If we say, what are the developmental disabilities? It's so in any developmental disability, there are three factors are seen. One is a child's developmental milestones. So child is showing issues with attaining a kind of a developmental milestone. Child is not walking at one right age. Child is not speaking. Child is not communicating. Child is not playing. Child is not attaining his education at the right way. Child is unable to get the certain physical motor milestones appropriately, cognitive milestones appropriately. So it's like developmental milestones on time. Second thing, child showing various behaviors that are either immature or socially not acceptable. So मेरा बच्चा या तो वो immaturely बिहेव करता है, या वो ऐसे बिहेव करता है कि वो शायद सोसाइटी में वो एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है, या शायद मुझे एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है, शायद घर में भी एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है. ओके, So that's the second thing, is a characteristic feature of a developmental disability. Third thing is the child is unable to learn from his own experiences and or his surroundings. My child is not able to learn from his experiences. I play a lot. I try to play car with him. I try to play cricket with him. Dr. Sumit, he's no, I'm enjoying, I'm trying my best to teach him, but he doesn't want to learn from me. No? Or every time he gets hurt by doing something, but still he wants to do it again. So either the child is not learning from his own experiences, or either he's not learning from the environment. So all these three things, apart from these three things, there's nothing in the developmental disabilities. I repeat, apart from these three things, there is nothing in developmental disabilities. And whatever is there, it's all acquired. It's all acquired that I'm going to discuss in the subsequent uh, slides. So what are the common developmental disabilities and a common age of detection? So I may run on this because आपको शायद ये PPT से भी ज़्यादा बहुत knowledge होगा. So autism spectrum disorders is like a child with let me tell you a definition. We all loved the dialogue ki, in Three Idiots, that definition is not important, clarity is more important. But sometimes in getting the clarity about a particular disorder, we get a lot of impure knowledge about that disorder. So I always believe, as a professional, we should know the definition of a particular disorder, which is given by DSM, Diagnostic model of the medical fraternity. So it is more important that let's follow the definition. So autism spectrum disorder. What is autism spectrum disorder? What is autism? Three things are involved. One, lack of communication, okay, lack of social interaction, and presence of some kind of repetitive behavior which are not otherwise helping the child to learn anything new. That's it. Only three things are involved in autism. Lack of communication. Okay, let me give you the definition of communication. Communication is a person is not able to transfer his intention, his emotions, maybe his reasoning, his thoughts, his ideas in the same way what other person can receive. Okay, so that's a communication. Communication does not mean speech or language. It has nothing to do with the communication. Second thing is, so if the child is taking the parent and showing this, I want that, or not saying, but just showing that child is communicating, but that is need-based communication. We should take it as a small string to pull towards a better communication. But most of the time, we take it as a wrong symptom because it's given in the Google or given outside that child with autism, which is non-verbal and something like that. So we try to stop the child by doing that. Okay, but it's a communication. Okay, I have very less time, so I will just give you small chunks of it. There are so many big lectures I've taken on autism and other disorders, but some important chunks I'm giving. So symptom is not a need-based. Symptom is lack of communication with respect to age. So apart from these three, if the child is head banging, if the child is just not speaking, the child is not studying, he's not writing, is not autism. It has nothing to do with autism. Okay, these are all acquired things. Either the child is not attained because of the certain developmental milestones, or because of some lack of learning. Okay, autism, when it is detected, mostly between 2 years to 4 years. शायद बच्चा आई कांटेक्ट नहीं दे रहा है, या बच्चा कम्युनिकेट नहीं कर रहा है, अपने नाम को रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं कर रहा है. So n number of ways of communication and social interaction are blocked. When the parent identifies it, child is diagnosed. Okay, but because of the pandemic, last 2 years, only 10 to 20% people have been diagnosed, but remaining 80-90% people could not come yet. Okay, so nowadays we are getting autism in 5 years, or the detection is happening at the age of 5 years or 4 years or 6 years. Second diagnosis is ADHD. Again, three things as per the definition. It's a neurological developmental disorder in which lack of attention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity is there. I repeat, ADHD, lack of attention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity is seen. Okay, these three things are there. Child is diagnosed with ADHD, but it is not like child is not writing, child is not sitting in the class. Okay, child is not sitting in the class is one of the symptom, but if that child is sitting in the room and watching a TV serial and watching and doing his liking things, and he's spending 15-20 minutes in that particular thing, then that child is actually not ADHD. That child is having some kind of a learning issues which he's not understanding. That's why he's not sitting in the class. There are so many surrounding things to ADHD. उसमें mischievous kids भी आते हैं, उसमें वो बहुत सारी चीजें भी involve की जाती है, but actually that is not ADHD. Okay, ADHD gets diagnosed in by the age of 3 years to 5 years, maybe the pre-primary to the senior KG or first standard level पे जब जाता है बच्चा, child is diagnosed with that. Okay. Next is cerebral palsy, something very very visible, something very very this thing. Child is because a certain lack of oxygen supply to the brain during the birth. The child brain shows some kind of issues, and then lack of motor control, and that's why cerebral palsy happens. And that happens, and that can be seen before 1 year. Let's not go in this particular disorder because the parenting is very much different, the acceptance is very much different, and then it's very 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 the treatment goes, the parenting goes in a very linear way, goes with the therapist, goes with the treatment. But most of the time, the autism spectrum disorder is something the parent is going in this direction and the therapist is going in this direction, and that's why autism is not curable. Let me tell you that. So cerebral palsy, what steps to be taken? Not much. I'm not going to discuss over here. Intellectual disabilities is like child IQ is supposed to be 90, but if IQ is less than 90, or let us say 80, 70, 60, 40, 50, the child is unable to learn from the society, but he's nicely interacting with the people around. He wants their attention, but the way of seeking attention is very immature. Maybe the emotional lability, maybe emotional sensitivity is there, which we can say the child is showing intellectual dysfunction. Okay, which can be understood by the age of 3 years to 7 years. So most of the time, child is unable to learn, unable to sustain attention. Every day is forgetting everything, not just one thing, but everything. Whatever you teach him, he forgets everything. So that comes in a mental processing disorder, or we can say intellectual dysfunction. Last is learning disabilities, which is there are three things जिसको LDs कहा जाता है. LDs में चार अलग अलग चीजें आती है. एक होता है dyslexia, child cannot read or cannot get the abilities of reading, develop the abilities of reading. Now reading is not a developmental milestone. Reading is an acquired ability which is based on some kind of a developmental milestone. So second thing is dysgraphia, which is something like child is unable to write. Dyscalculia, child is unable to understand the numbers, its values, and its formulas. Child is not able to relate it with his own life or day-to-day experiences. And last is somatodyspraxia, or let us say dyspraxia. The child is unable to control his movement patterns and showing a lot of issues with his movement coordination. It's called the movement coordination disorder, in which child is unable to master in some kind of a daily functions also. So these are the commonly seen developmental disorders, and its common age of detection. Now, how the diagnosis is done? By the subjective observations, by the professionals. Look at the child, identify the markers. They just jot down the parents' challenges, parents' complaints, concerns, and then try to relate it with the diagnostic protocol. Okay, that's a subjective observation. Psychometric testing, there are different types of testings to understand a particular disorder and its dysfunction. And objective tests are there. There are so many tests are there to understand diagnosis, and it's by examining its subtopics. Like for example, in for autism, there are different tests are there, like GARS, what I use, Gilliam Autism Rating Scale 2. Then ATEC is there. Then ISRA. There are so many things are there. That depends upon every professional, and all of them are universally standardized test. Depends upon what exactly, what we are comfortable with, and how those tests help us in prognostic model. So this is the way the diagnosis is done in this particular disorders. Now, coming to a very important thing, this slide, I kept it till the last moment. This slide, I kept it in the end of my presentation. But I feel that some people wants to be more, wants to know more about the exact fact about this thing. So I'm just giving it over here. In my last 15 years career, suppose if I see the data comes to me, let us say around 4,000 kids comes to me, out of which 2,500 kids sustained, 1,500 kids did their things and maybe discontinued in between. That's fine. But most of those kids, out of 100 kids comes to us, 5 to 10% developmental disability kids are severe and profound. Okay, who may require a prolonged treatment and therapies. तो अगर 10 बच्चे आते हैं हमारे पास, तो उसमें से शायद एक बच्चे के लिए बहुत ज्यादा लॉन्ग टर्म की थेरेपीज की जरूरत पड़ती है. Okay, this is a fact which I am expressing from my own clinic models. Okay, statistics. So जरूरी नहीं है कि there are so many people who feel, क्योंकि बाद में यही चीजें आने वाली है कि people will get preoccupied कि लाइफ टाइम तक थेरेपीज चलेगी, लाइफ टाइम तक ट्रीटमेंट चलेगी. और ये लाइफ टाइम तक ट्रीटमेंट चलने के पीछे की कुछ रीजंस है जो एक्चुअली चाइल्ड का डायग्नोसिस नहीं होता है, हमारे एक्सपेक्टेशंस भी होते हैं. ओके, तो द 10 kids if comes to me, out of those 10 kids, let's say 5 to 10% kids are severely disabled who may require a prolonged therapies, prolonged treatment. Most of the symptoms are pseudo and environmentally influenced. Now, let us say 50% kids who comes to me, let us say I take 2 to 3 consultations, 2 consultations on a day on an average. So out of which, if I'm taking 60 consultations in a month, let us say 50 consultations in a month. So out of which I may take only 10 to 15 children who are actually suffering with the problem, but remaining 10 to 15, I tell them, okay, you start working on it. If you find some problem, then you come back. But remaining 10 to 15 to 25 are the kids who are actually having those issues because of some environmental things. For example, either the parents are very cold in nature, that's why the child has not developed the communication ability, or the child is more involved in something non-deserving needs. The parent is just giving the mobile, and maybe this has happened a lot during the lockdown period, and we are getting so many cases because of the mobile use. The child is lost his eye contact, the child is lost his communication ability with others, but that's not autism, but the child is showing autism-like symptoms. Okay, so most of the symptoms are pseudo and environmentally influenced. Not necessarily the child's sensory processing is really affected and child is actually having that problem. The third thing is most of the behaviors are resultant of inappropriate handling of the child because of certain expectations from the family members or maybe from the society. So most of the behaviors who the child is showing, the child is just showing the self-hitting, the child is just spitting on somebody's face, the child is just lying down on the floor, the child is showing stubborn behaviors. All these things are not necessarily that is arised from the diagnosis, arised from the actual problem. They are arised because of the inappropriate handling, either inappropriate handling or because of the inappropriate expectations kept on a child. And last, which we come across a lot, is more than 50% diagnosed kids gets treated successfully within 6 months. Maybe some kids get treated within 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, and they are completely integrated into the society. Not necessarily that they will have any kind of a problem that will remain in them. These kids comes in a very early stages. The kids come in a very early, receive the early intervention. They come in this particular thing, and the kids who are having a mild to moderate issues, very mild issues, and with the right sort of parenting, we see out of those 50 kids are coming that month, maybe in next few days, maybe in next few sessions, maybe with some kind of a home program, maybe with some kind of clinical protocols. Within 6 months, the child is ready to get integrated into the society. Nowadays, if the kids are coming to me, then the child is just having a lack of eye contact, child is not communicating, and I see the child is just 3 years, and parents are like very much accepting and all. I keep a goal that I want to see this child going to the school and playing with other kids in next 4 or 5 months. I keep these goals, and I tell my team members that, okay, these goals we have to keep. Let this kid go out of this system soon as possible. So how many of them are there? Around 50% diagnosed kids, really diagnosed kids, get successfully treated within few months and gets integrated into the society. Before I go to the next slide, I just want to know, are you all with me? And are you all understanding this? Yes, that's great. That's great. Because if you are, there is a lot of fear in this field. Once my child is diagnosed with some kind of a developmental disability, that means everything is shattered. It's not like that. And at the end of this session, I'm going to prove it to all of you that this is not true. That this is not true, that your child is going to suffer forever. Okay? So let's go ahead. So I'm going to take this slide again at the end, but I felt that this is important to bring some fearful minds into the compassion and into the acceptance. Now what happens? कोई भी बच्चा अगर हमारे पास आता है, okay, and then the parent comes with some kind of a concern. Parents come with my child is not just speaking. Parent comes with my child is not just writing. Parents come with my child is just he's playing in his own world. So my pediatrician said that, why don't you see Dr. Sumit? Why don't you see a professional? Okay. So you people went to professional, okay, and the parent goes to a professional, and once the professional, by doing all those diagnostic criteria, makes some diagnosis, then these are the actual emotional responses comes from the parent. That is, are you sure, Dr. Sumit, my child is suffering with LD? Are you sure, or he's just doing natak? उसको ना मैंने देखा है, उसको करने का नहीं होता है. Are you sure, Dr. Sumit, that my child is actually ADHD? Because I've seen him looking at a mobile for hours and hours. Okay. Then there are certain scientific reasons that we have to understand. We have to identify. Looking at a mobile is something. Mobile is provoking the child's eyes and ears. But if in 360-degree environment, if the eyes and ears are not provoked by the 360-degree environment, then the child is haywire. Then the child is actually showing a lot of lack of attention and distractibility. Yes, he's showing the symptoms of autism. ADHD, or let us say autism. In next 1 month, we are going to do a lot of subjective analysis. We are going to do a lot of certain objective tests to ensure, okay, to ensure that yes, the child is coming or the child's symptoms are coming in this category. I repeat, not the child is coming in this category. Child's symptoms are coming in that category. Let the child be a child. Every child is a very precious child, be it yours or be it mine. It is precious for us, and is going to be precious forever. Okay. So most of the time it is wrongly interpreted. The child is diagnosed. Let's say it's not child is diagnosed, it is child's symptoms are diagnosed. Okay. Let's remove those symptoms. Let's detach those particular things and let the child be child who's very precious to us. Yes or no? Please put it in the chat box. So there are so many times parents ask us, are you sure? Are you sure he's suffering from ADHD? Are you sure that this is autism? And sometimes we have to say that yes, I may not be sure at this moment. Maybe he's acting extra. Maybe he's very cranky today. Maybe he was not very these things. But let's understand in next 1 month. Today he may be showing a different color. Tomorrow he may show a different color. Let's identify all those colors, accumulated together, and then we would like to see. Yes. So many times this is the common reaction comes from the parents, that are you sure? And let me tell you, unless and until the professional is sure, the professional, ethically, the professional should not say that child is actually suffering from some kind of a disorder, because that is a very, very, very traumatic for every parent to understand. So it's very important for the professionals also to, I told you, in the beginning of the lecture, I told you, we were very happy, we were very, excited to see the cases in the KEM, because we were students at that time. But when it comes to the professional, our professional happens by examination, by education, by experiences, and then working with ethics. The ethics is very important over here. Unless and until you are completely sure, you should not give any kind of a diagnosis. And I feel pity for all those people who make diagnosis in 5 minutes. That's not right. And don't take it. Take the child every time to the professional. Take the child every time. This thing. See, this is this. Take your child's videos, the best videos the child is performing at home. It's very important. Okay. But 5 minutes diagnosis is wrong side from the professional. But at the same time, not acceptance after diagnosis is needs to be. It's the acceptance is a very, very crucial point at that time from the parents. So are you sure is very, very important thing, reaction from the parents. It's not true. No, it's not true. It cannot happen to my child. Yes, this is one more reaction comes. Why me? Mujhe hi kyun? I have come from a lot of struggle and all. Why me? And now I just got married. Now I just think something happened, something nice happened, was happening to me. And then what I'm hearing me? Why me? Every person who's going through a kind of a problem, these are the common things which happens. But when the child is diagnosed with certain things, the intensity of this is very, very, very high, and one cannot understand the level of stress is going in the parent. When a newcomer comes to me, or when I sit, when I enter into my clinic, I tell myself, you have to be ethical before, when you are dealing with, and you should have enough emotions inside you when you are dealing with in this field. So why me is very difficult to handle. Is very difficult to handle for the self also, and very difficult for to handle, because there are so many reasons. One cannot find out the reason why me, behind why me. There are so many questions in the world which are unanswered, and which doesn't need any answers. We just have to go ahead with that, with whatever the situations is came in front of us. Next is, how is it possible when both of the parents, with both of us, are so highly intellectual, and we are educated and these things? Then how is it possible? It is not possible in our family. No. This is one more thing which reaction comes from the parent. This, which is very obvious most of the time. And last is, let me take another opinion. Yes. So this is what I come across, this kind of a reactions from a parent. Ki, okay, fine, you have said, or okay, fine, some other person had said, and now we have come to know, and we want to know whether it is right or not. First thing I say, ki child is not diagnosed with autism. Child is not diagnosed with these things. Symptoms are diagnosed with a particular developmental disability. Your child's name is Soham, his name is Aditya, his name is Manas. That's absolutely fine. He's going to be that only. Only there are certain symptoms that we have to work upon, and I will come to the symptoms also later on. What exactly we have to work with the symptoms. Okay. So let me take another opinion. These are the basic things which repercussions or reactions happen from the parent, which takes time to accept. No, sometimes it's not true. How is it possible? Are you sure? Let me take another opinion. In this reaction, the time may go from 1 month to, let us say, 6 months to sometimes 3 years also. Recently I'm coming across many cases. I mean, out of which they say, when he was 3 years, doctor said that he has some kind of issues, but we thought he will eventually come these things. Now he's 7 years, so now the school has given us ultimatum, and he's not at all doing this. So many kids who are going to school, and now they are sitting at home since last 2 years, the parent could understand that yes, this is something, this thing. So the acceptance, okay, is completely dependent upon the 6 factors or 5 factors, I feel. Do you all agree with this? You can put it into the chat box. The acceptance that, okay, yes, I agree, and let's start working on it. Okay, I want to work on it. But before that, we need to go through all this. So yes. And when the acceptance comes, that time the actual treatment starts. When the acceptance comes, that time the actual development of a child starts. But sometimes, let me tell you, this acceptance never comes. I have seen the child who's 20 years old and father is still adamant to say, वो नाटक करता है, उसको कुछ नहीं, बचपन से ये नाटक ही कर रहा है. Okay, I have come across this kind of cases also, or I've come across the cases where the child is actually showing what are severe things, but the parents doesn't want to accept it, so they kept the child to another place. So this is also kind of an acceptance, lack of acceptance. So when I want to develop the child, or when any professional wants to develop the child, it's very important that these 5 things should get rid of as soon as possible, because these are the emotional, and these are creating distresses in us, and multiple things we keep thinking, and when we operating from some kind of a stress or a problem, then we don't come across the right decisions most of the time. So these are the basic reactions what we see in the parents. Are you sure? No, it's not true. Why me? मैं ही क्यों? उसको क्यों नहीं? मेरा तो बच्चा बहुत ही नॉर्मल था, उसका बच्चा क्यों नहीं? वो तो 7वें महीने में पैदा हुआ था, उसका तो नॉर्मल है. ये बहुत बार कंपैरिजन आएगा और आता है. And actually, when the parent is talking to me, even though parent is not talking, saying these words, but we understand from the intentions, because when you're so much engrossed in a particular field for 8 hours, 10 hours a day, then you are entitled to get a lot of intentions from this, a lot of energies from this. So I get this kind of questions without being said by the parents, and those who are asking these questions, are still suffering with the next level, that is child development. But those who are completely kept aside and saying now what to do. Now what? Today my child has done this. Now I can do what I can do the next. then those children are very much progressive and they are doing wonderfully well in their development aspects. Now, what common steps are taken by parents when the child is diagnosed with some kind of a developmental disability? Finding out more about the diagnosis. Let me see what is autism. Let me see what is ADHD. So ADHD Google पे डालने के बाद वो ADHD से related so many drugs, so many things, autism से related so many myths, so many facts, so many non-scientific and unethical things also they come across. Okay, that's called as a finding out more about the diagnosis. Now the new parent don't have any idea about what is right and what is not right, but for them it is just information, and that information they keep getting it. एक स्लाइड हो गई तो दूसरी स्लाइड हो गई तो नेक्स्ट टाइम एक यूट्यूब वीडियो हो गया, दूसरा यूट्यूब वीडियो, तीसरा यूट्यूब वीडियो, फेसबुक हो गया, एक ग्रुप हो गया, दूसरा ग्रुप. So they try to get, and this is but obvious. This is absolutely fine. This is a human tendency. We have to accept it. This is happens. Okay, it's not wrong or it's not right, but this is happening with everyone. So common steps taken by parents. The first thing, every parent try to find out more and more about the diagnosis without knowing what they are reading is right for their own child or not right. But the keyword is autism, the keyword is ADHD. So with respect to wherever this keyword is coming, this keyword is explored a lot. Okay, maybe जितना शायद स्कूल में शायद पढ़ाई नहीं किया होगा, कॉलेज में पढ़ाई नहीं किया होगा, उससे बहुत ज्यादा पढ़ाई यहाँ पर होता है. Next is talking to another parents. Let me check who the other parent, like the who's suffering with autism child, whose child is suffering with autism, what he says about his child. Let me compare. It's not about taking the help. The psychodynamics, let me tell you, psychodynamics means the psychology behind it is, am I alone? Let me see the same kind of people who are there around. Again, a normal psychology. Okay, every time I go, अंधेरे में अगर मैं जाता हूं तो मैं पीछे देखता हूं कोई है क्या मेरे साथ. अगर कोई है तो ठीक है, मैं अकेला नहीं हूं, तो उससे थोड़ा सा मन को दिलासा आता है, मैं अकेला नहीं हूं. है कि नहीं पेरेंट्स? कैन यू प्लीज पुट इट ऑन द चैट बॉक्स? मैं अकेला नहीं हूं. अकेला होता तो प्रॉब्लम होता. लॉकडाउन में मेरी नौकरी गई है, सामने वाले की भी गई, सामने वाली वो सेकंड फ्लोर वाले की भी गई है तो ठीक है, चलो सबकी नौकरी गई है, सबको लॉस है तो ठीक है, लेकिन शायद उतना लॉस अगर अकेले को होता तो शायद बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट हो जाता जीने के लिए. सो यस, दिस इज अ नॉर्मल ह्यूमन टेंडेंसी दैट वी ट्राई टू फाइंड द सेम प्रॉब्लम in others. So we try to talk with another parents. Okay, finding out more from the other professionals. Yes, this is one more thing. I want to take more. I just want to do the best with my child. मुझे अपने बच्चे के लिए बेस्ट करना है, and हर एक parent अपने child के लिए बेस्ट ही करता है. So okay, Dr. Sumit, we have heard from you. I want to hear it from another person. Let me hear it from the Delhi. Let me go to Hyderabad. Let me go to UK, US, and everywhere. So finding out more from the other professionals. Okay, is it wrong? No, it is not wrong. It is absolutely right. Okay, because I want the best. Every person wants the best because my child is more precious. Okay. Last is start trying everything that is heard and possible from our side. हम लोग वो सारी चीजें करने के पीछे पड़ते हैं जो हमने सुनी है और जो हमने जो हमारी तरफ से पॉसिबल है, वो हम हर पीछे पड़ते हैं. कोई बोला ये वाला मेडिसिन तो उसके पीछे, कोई बोला ये वाले चीज तो उसके पीछे, कोई बोला किसी कैमल का मिल्क आता है तो उसके पीछे, कोई बोला ये मल्टीविटामिन तो उसके पीछे. बट and many people who are educated, maybe they are scientists and they are doctors also, are doing this. Because when it comes to the child, our education, our intellectual these things, I keep it aside. I also, for my kids also, I will keep it aside, and I will do everything best for my child. Okay, but when we do this through stress, जब हम ये सारी चीजें एक स्ट्रेस से करते हैं, when we are actually going through a kind of a emotional distress, at that time whatever we do, it becomes a adverse, it gets the adversities, it brings adversities, and we don't know where we are landing up at the end. Okay, so these are the common steps taken by parents. Do you all agree with me? Please put in the chat box, yes or no. One more thing, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's the fact. We are actually finding the facts, and I am going to take you to the facts where exactly every parent should land up. Okay, it's not about a therapist, it's not about a treatment, but every parent where they should land up when the child is actually diagnosed with a kind of a developmental disability. Okay, so finding more about diagnosis, taking to another parents or talking to another parents, being a part of some kind of a WhatsApp group, some kind of a Facebook group, some kind of a group where everybody's sharing their problems. And then I also start finding those same problems in my child also, whether they are there or not there. My child is 4 years. Okay, he's 4 years, but somebody said that, his puberty and he started opening his pants. I will also start thinking the same way that my child is also going to do the same when he's going to be 12. सो ये बिलीफ ये इतना स्ट्रांग हो जाता है कि डॉक्टर सुमित यहाँ पर गला फाड़ के बोल रहा है कि अरे बाबा तेरा बच्चा जब 4.5 साल का होगा ना, वो नॉर्मल होने वाला है, वो एब्सोल्युटली फाइन होने वाला है, वो स्कूल में जाके तो एंड यू आल्सो डोंट थिंक दैट यू आल्सो फॉरगेट दैट यू यूज्ड टू कम टू द थेरेपिस्ट, but that belief system sometimes shatters, and then keeps finding mistakes in a child, so this is somewhere the lot of knowledge and lot of concerns when we operate, when we read from a distress. I repeat, when we read from a distress, we get only negative thoughts, and then the wrong belief system starts developing. I stopped taking certain lectures few months back because of this, that I'm taking a puberty lecture, and parents who are attending is 4 years or 5 years and 6 years whose child is yet to become puberty after 4 years or 5 years, और शायद उनको जरूरत भी नहीं पड़ेगी वो लेक्चर की, but still everybody is randomly taking those lectures. So that's why I took a decision to, let's stop, let's be very specific, let's be individualistic. Do you all agree with me? So, and yes, it's not necessary that we are doing, I again say, it's not necessary it is right or wrong, but this is a human mind. This is a human mind. The human mind is different from everybody because we think, we have a freedom of thinking, and we cannot control on any positive thought or any negative thought. I don't want to go into the psychology, but it is required over here. Okay, when negative thought comes, and so many people, so many spiritual leaders and so many people will say, no, you have to control your negative thoughts, you can't do that, you absolutely can't do that, neither I do that, neither you can do that. Okay, but let it come, don't think about it, don't react on it. That's the best way to do. When a negative thought comes in your mind that my child also will suffer from this kind of a puberty issues, or my child also not sit in the class when he's doing this, or like the other parent said, he's 5 years and the school removed him, and now my child is just diagnosed with autism, just 3 years old. Okay, and I also feel the same thing. My God, my child, just like that child, the school will remove my child also. So I'll start forcing the school from day one. So it's not right, it's not wrong, it's a normal human tendency. क्योंकि एक चीज मैं आपको सबको बोलना चाहता हूँ, अगर मुझे कुछ प्रॉब्लम है तो शायद मैं नहीं बोलूंगा, अगर मेरे फैमिली वालों को कुछ प्रॉब्लम है तो वो सक्षम है वो लेने के लिए, लेकिन अगर मेरे बच्चे को कोई प्रॉब्लम है, बच्चे को कोई चीज नहीं मिल रही है, तो उसके लिए मैं भगवान भी हो सकता हूँ और राक्षस भी हो सकता हूँ. ये हर एक पेरेंट की फितरत होती है. Yes or no? Do you agree? I remember being a doctor when my child's cycle was thrown out of the these things by in my society. Just somebody said कि ये cycle इधर नहीं चाहिए, उधर उधर डाल दो. I made hangama at night 2 o'clock. How you can deal with this child. At the same time, They used to tell me, you don't park your car over here, you park your car. Every time I used to listen. But the day my child's cycle was thrown out, I was a different person at that day. So it is absolutely fine. Yes, but when we take these decisions from the distress, it's something which is most of the time we may not land up into the right solutions. Next is, so these are the common steps which happens when early diagnosis happens. And sometimes this is a let me tell you, this is an ongoing process also. So the child is diagnosed with last 2 years, but still this is an ongoing process. Apparently you don't have to scribble on the paper, something we can this thing. So I just stop the sharing. I'll just start sharing again. Okay. Can you see the screen, Sushant?
Yes.
Right. So now it's our reaction. Okay, when my child is diagnosed with some kind of a developmental disability. But what is our reaction to our child? This is also very important. Yes. So my reaction, or what is there for me? I will go to professionals. I will talk to another parent. I will read. I will write. I will get answers. I will consult. N number of things I will do it for the child. Now, what is my reaction to my child? When the child is diagnosed with some kind of a developmental disability, when we see that my best product is having some issue, having some problem, the rule says that whatever you think and study more, you try to see more with the preoccupations. The rule says that whatever you think and study more, you try to see more with the preoccupations. For example, जो भी हम ज्यादा पढ़ते हैं चाहत से, ज्यादा हम लोग उसके बारे में खोजबीज करते हैं, छानबीन करते हैं, तो हमें उसी से रिलेटेड सारी चीजें दिखती हैं. ओके, दिस इज द लॉ ऑफ अट्रैक्शन. So when the professional said that the child is having some kind of a developmental disability, then I started looking at more. Then I started studying more about symptoms. I started studying more about behaviors and the activities and the treatment and so many things, and then I start looking the same things in my child. Okay, so what a parent may react to a child, we try to focus more on finding the symptoms. So one of the example I'm giving, there are so many examples. One of the example I'm giving, so the child was doing this, something like this. ये just last 15 days, 15-20 days की पहले की बात है. Child was doing this. What I'm doing with my finger is he was just doing this, and every after 5 minutes he was doing this. The mother called us, the manager, and she said, my child is having a different types of pattern, and I want Dr. Sumit's meeting. And eventually, I was on that day. I was there in that in that branch, and therapist said, "Sir, the child is showing different kind of a symptom. So can you? She wants to show you." Child was just doing this, and when I came to know what exactly the child is doing, child को 2 दिन पहले कुछ तो मच्छर काटा था, and the child was just trying to do this. So I asked mother कि ये मच्छर ने काटा and all. हाँ, वो मच्छर ने काटा है, लेकिन इतना ज्यादा भी नहीं करना चाहिए ना. 2 दिन से वो कर रहा है, तो I thought कि something, a different pattern of behavior is coming. So you must see. With all respect to the parent, I said कि let's ignore it. ये आएगा और चला जाएगा. Don't have to see it, because if I would have justified, because there was already belief system, there's something abnormal. So 3 to 4 days में I asked the child to do something different, and then stopped. Otherwise also it was going to get stopped. But the preoccupied mind will always try to find some kind of a symptoms in the child, which is, if I talk about the parents, what I have seen is present almost 50 to 60% people, the symptoms, वो symptoms खोजना हर वक्त शुरू होता है. We release more behaviors with the symptoms. We relate more behaviors with the symptoms. Okay. More small behaviors. वो मुंह ऐसे करके तो ओपन करके रखता है, वो ऐसे नाक को ना ऐसे 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 हर वक्त ऐसे करता है. स्मॉल थिंग्स विच आर नॉट एट ऑल, विच शायद अगर हम लोगों में देखेंगे तो ऐसे 100 अलग अलग गलत बिहेवियर्स रहेंगे या गलत मैनरिज्म्स रहेंगे, लेकिन हम अपने बच्चे में वो सारी छोटी छोटी चीजें देखने की कोशिश करते हैं. You know? Especially when the child is diagnosed, especially when we are more involved in the child. You are in Hyderabad, but you came to Mumbai, and you are living with your child, and you left everything behind, and you want to work on your child. This particular thing is when you are more involved, that time you are more concerned. You know. So yes, we relate more behaviors with the symptoms. Sometimes 99%, 95% it's not required. We try to work on symptoms. Now this is very, very important. I just want to take a open your chat box and you can. And I want to ask you a question. You know, if I get malaria, you know, and doctor gives me only, I get a malaria. What are the symptoms? Please tell me. Please tell me in the chat box. If I have a malaria, what all symptoms you all should see in me? Please put into the chat box. Shiverings, okay. High fever with body ache, headache, body ache, okay. Fever in the evening, feeling too cold, yes. So what doctor did? He just gave me, so headache hai, he gave me a kind of a you know, Saldon, headache के लिए Saldon मैंने लिया. उसके बाद बॉडी एक है तो मैंने डाइक्लोफेनेक सोडियम लिया, एंड उसके बाद फीवर है तो मैंने पैरासिटामोल लिया. Will the malaria get cured, or what will happen? Please put in the chat box. I worked on symptoms. I worked on headache, shivering, and all these things, and I am having hot water for shivering. What will happen? Yeah, it needs chloroquine. Yes, you're right. But what will happen? It cannot be cured. But what will happen? It will not be cured means what will happen? I will start suffering, and after 4 or 5 days of the symptoms, people have to take me to the hospital. Yes or no? Do you agree with me? Yes, it will get severe, counts will get unmanaged. Yes, the vitals will get affected. Yes, exactly. Yes, you all are right. So do you all agree? Do you all agree that symptoms is a problem, or problem is something different in autism? In autism, the child is flapping his hand is a problem. Child is not speaking is an actual problem. Child is not giving eye contact is an actual problem, or it is a symptom which is outside, which need not be seen. We work on inside, the chills, the headache, the things will automatically go. What needs to be seen? What needs to be done? Should we work on symptoms? So tell me. So the child who is just having flapping, okay. I know there are many parents who are whose kids are from autism, so I'm just taking autism more. But so flapping is happening because brain and hand registration, the muscles and joints and ligament registration is not happening in the brain the way it's supposed to happen in the developmental stages. It's not necessary activities. In the developmental stages, when the child was 2 months, 4 months, 7, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, you know, in the developmental stages, the registration of that hand didn't happen completely, you know. That's why the child is flapping. But what will happen? that everybody starts looking at a symptom and everybody says ki so flapping बढ़ गया, you should do something. So you know what the therapist will give? Make him walk on a hand. Very raw therapies, we can say. Make him walk on his hand. But the gist of the story is making walk on his hand is just will satisfy his needs for that these things. But the actual therapy is connecting that hand through the developmental stages where the autism started setting in at the age of 4 months, 5 months, 6 months of the age of the child. So that's why everybody today, if you see a YouTube videos, you see a number of things. Everybody's writing the symptom and writing its activities, writing the symptom and its activities. And because of this, the malaria is just symptoms are getting cured, but the actual developmental issues are getting converted from the one stage of the development to the next stage of development. From the toddler to the preschool and preschool to the concrete operational stage, so from the concrete operational stage to the formal operational stage. ये शायद आपने पढ़ा भी नहीं होगा क्योंकि ये चीजें आपको पढ़ने को नहीं मिलेगी गूगल पे, क्योंकि ये चीजें बहुत ही साइंटिफिक है और ये शायद आपको सिर्फ टेक्स्ट बुक्स में या साइकोलॉजी के बुक्स में मिलेगी, which those quacks doesn't know of these things also. There are so many people are actually just looking at a symptom and how to work on echolalia. So make the child do these activities. But echolalia is a developmental stage, and that developmental stage has some algorithm behind and has some algorithm ahead. If you satisfy the algorithm behind, the echolalia will get converted into the mother tongue. Let me tell you, every child has echolalia. Every child who's developing echolalia, we celebrate. I write in my strengths, the child is developing echolalia. I write the child's strength, it is a child is echolalia, means the child has more chances to develop mother tongue, mother accent, and and now he's ready to come out from that robotic accent. So it's very important. Why I stressed on this topic is we try to focus more on finding the symptoms and we try to relate more behaviors with the symptoms, and our preoccupation is on the symptom. So we try to work on activities with the symptoms. And that's why actually autism gets converted into one stage to the another stage. We try to work on symptoms and then we read books and Google to understand more. And last is we focus on the gradations. Parent when ask me, sir, वो कितना है, mild autism या moderate autism है? I said, autism is autism. Why you want the mild or moderate? It's autism. Let's start working on it. If you work on gradation, then if you that means your mind is actually working on accounting, you know. And if you say that, sir, how much I have to involve emotionally with my child if he's showing a severe social communication dysfunction, तो मुझे कितना involve होना होगा, sir? When the parent says this, then I say, don't worry, your child is going to get cured soon. I repeat, when the parent asks, mild hai, moderate hai, severe hai, those children have a very difficult, may have a difficult time, okay? But if the parent says, ki whatever the mild or severe, sir, Dr. Sumit, tell me, if my child is not communicating, what kind of a communication I should develop, that I should be able to transfer that communication skill to my child. मैं कैसे बोलना चाहिए, मैं कैसे expression करना चाहिए. So this particular thing is not come from the books. Let me tell you, parents, I am telling you from the parents' view only. One of the parents said she come from Aurangabad and she stayed here, very from the farmers family, and she said कि सर मैं सब कुछ करने के लिए तैयार हूं, मुझ में क्या फर्क होना चाहिए मेरे बच्चे के लिए, क्योंकि मेरा बच्चा मुझसे, मैं सब कुछ करने की कोशिश करती हूँ लेकिन वो सीखता नहीं है, तो शायद मैं ही गलत कर रही हूँ, आप मुझे ठीक करिए, मेरा बच्चा तो नॉर्मल है, मेरे बच्चे को वो कुछ चीजें करती हो तो समझ जाता है लेकिन बहुत सारी चीजें करती हो तो नहीं समझ में आता है, तो मैंने वो कैसे सही करना चाहिए. That opened up my eyes maybe 7 or 8 years back, the time when I started looking at the parenting as a center of attention where actually the cure can happen, you know. And I said, just behave his improved version in front of him. And from where it came, I don't know. I just said just behave the improved version. एक महीने के बाद तुम्हारा बच्चे का improved version क्या होना चाहिए, वो तुम उसके सामने behave करो बस. That lady used to sit for hours and hours outside of the center when we didn't have any waiting area also at that time. And that time she used to say, she used to run behind the crows and run behind the things, run behind the pigeons outside of these things. And then the child started exactly after 15 or 20 days, the child started running behind the pigeons. Not because of the therapy, but actually because the parent behaved the improved version of that child. Okay. And that was a formula. I don't know how much you are understanding, but are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Are you all connected with me? So reactions towards a child is very important, that rather than being practical, rather than being educational, rather than being comparative, rather than being talking with respect to numbers and words, it's not important. But again, it's not right, it's not wrong. It's a human psychology. Everybody will try to help the child as per their best way they can do. Sometimes the PhD parents are there. They may ask me, you tell me what is the percentile what is the percentile issue in the social communication dysfunction. Sometimes I say, okay, that's your education, so let me help you, let me make you understand. But not all the time is required. So we read books and Googles to understand more, and we focus on gradations, either severe, mild, or moderate. But this is what we try to see in the child. Okay, we try to see in the child where we are there, we can say we are statue and the child is dynamic. Okay, because we want to help the child. Okay, as a result, जब ये प्री ऑक्यूपेशन से हम लोग काम करते हैं, इसके पीछे के 2 स्लाइड्स मैंने बोला है, कॉमन स्टेप्स टेकन बाय पेरेंट्स, फाइंडिंग आउट मोर अबाउट डायग्नोसिस, टॉकिंग विद अनदर पेरेंट्स, finding more and more and more, and so much of things comes in our mind that we don't know what to use and what not to use, what is important and what is not important, what is beneficial and what is not beneficial. And then we close our mind and somebody says, oh, this is beneficial, everybody runs behind that. Oh, and happens with us also. Oh, Dr. Sumit, have you heard Dr. Sumit? He's amazing. Everybody comes to me. But it's very important that we need to understand what is exactly connecting to my child's development and not my child's diagnosis. I repeat, what is more important for my child's development than my child's diagnosis? Diagnosis is just a nomenclature for the professionals, but the development is the very important byproduct or final product what everybody should search for, child's development. As a result, ये सारी चीजें जब हम करते हैं तो we get more stressful and start operating, stop operating compassionately. Sometimes मुझे बहुत बुरा लगता है कि when the parent comes and parent was very happy, very these things, and just came with some kind of a challenges in her behavior on someone, and then we come to know that, oh, child is having some kind of a developmental disability. And then all of a sudden the parent loses his temperament, loses his basic personality. Parent becomes mum. Parents become more fearful, can say. So when this right or wrong steps, whatever but it is happening, and that when they happen, we get more stressful and stop operating from compassion with our child and get emotionally detached from our child. What do you mean by emotional detachment? Can you tell me? What do you mean by emotional detachment? Okay, I would like to ask this question in another way around. Are you all connected? Are you all there? Yes, please. 5 yeses from your side. Yes, being away from contact. when we say that, you were in your college days, you were in your school days, and we used to like someone, and now also you like husband and this thing. When you like someone, you know you don't see the negative aspect of that person. When you like someone, when you are compassionate about someone, you don't see the maybe it can be a friend, maybe it can be a relative, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your husband, you know so your child, when we are emotionally connected with the child, with that person, then we ignore all their negative aspects. Yes, but when we say emotional detachment from that person, then we start recollecting all the negative person that person has. Yes or no? Do you all agree with me? When we are emotionally connected, we ignore all the negative aspect of that person. How that person look, what that person earns, what that person do, what that person has a temperament, that person hits me, that person smokes, and number of things are, we ignore it because we like that person. But when we gets emotionally detached from that person, then we say कि मैंने बहुत tolerate किया उसे, you know he was having, she was having this problem, you know uh, and then you start looking at all those negative aspects that person has, and you start accepting. So you emotionally detached, you accept the negative aspects of that person. All right, so as a result, so when we become more judgmental about our child, not necessary that you are doing or you are, आप कर रहे हो, आप नहीं कर रहे हो, लेकिन प्रोसेस आपको करने के लिए देगी, शायद कुछ रॉन्ग प्रोफेशनल्स आपको करने के लिए देंगे, शायद सोसाइटी आपको करने के लिए देगी, ओके, लेकिन ये होगा, और होने के बाद we actually get detached, और ये detachment is the most important thing which we have to cover soon, because if we want a complete cure, or if we want to develop in our child. Okay, what we do? Okay, हम क्या करते हैं? Okay, ऐसे situations में हमसे क्या होता है जो actually हमने नहीं करना चाहिए? Yes, this is called the akrasia. So we do what we are not supposed to do. The first thing, we operate the child from expectations. He should read, he has to go to school, so let him know everything so that nobody will find his problem. Let him know everything, you know then he should speak so that nobody will find some kind of a thing, or nobody, or it's not necessary nobody will find, or uh, he should get cured fast. Okay, and because of that fast cure and fast these things, we start, we be in a hurry, हम लोग थोड़ा सा फास्ट हो जाते हैं, और वो फास्ट होने में एक्चुअली हमारा बच्चा जो स्लोली डेवलप हो रहा है, हमारा पेस जो यहाँ पर था, ये बच्चा यहाँ पर था, हमारा पेस और दुगुना हो जाता है, और वो दुगुना पेस से एक्चुअली our child gets detached from us. Yes or no? Can you see in the chat box? I mean, can you see in the these things? The child goes up, you go up, expectation point of view, and child goes down. And that is the first thing where the child starts getting emotionally detached from you. Expectations is not at all good in any kind of relations. Any kind of relations. Yes. Next is give more focus on their performance. मैं जब आता था पहले, मैं उसके साथ खेलता था, उसको बहुत अच्छे ऐसे करता था, उसके बाद मैं उसको ना घुमाने के लिए ले जाता था, हॉर्स राइडिंग करता था, डॉक्टर बहुत, आजकल है ना, वो जब मैं उसको, that parent used to say before, and now what the parent is doing, he's not sitting more than 2 minutes. I asked him to do, but he could not do more the puzzle more than four pieces or 5 pieces. So everybody, or the unknowingly, our expectation drives us towards the performance, and the child has to appear for everyday exams. It's not after 3 months. वो weekly, monthly, trimester ऐसा नहीं होता है. वो every moment the child has to go through exams. Like for example, the child, within 1 month the child develops eye contact with us. So I just write the goal for every child. The child should develop the eye contact with a positive parenting. Okay? And I'm taking the lectures also with respect to eye contact. and then we have proved in one session itself the child's eye contact is developed. But once the eye contact is developed, we become more judgmental कि अभी है कि नहीं, रात को 8 बजे मैं बुलाता हूँ, हाँ राघव, okay, देख रहे हैं, हाँ है, eye contact है, so we examine that. But what is eye contact? Eye contact is not visual attention. Eye contact is somewhere I want to transfer my emotions to you. I want to get connected with you. And in that connection, when we become judgmental, whether you know or whether you have achieved it or no, then the child actually starts to ignore you later on. That's the negative aspect of operating from the expectations and performance. And later on, parent comes to us that, he's showing a lot of behaviors. And then he started banging his head. Whenever I come, he bangs his head. Why? Because, the child has stopped enjoying with you. So these are the repercussions. But again, मैं थोड़ा सा पीछे की स्लाइड में चला जाता हूँ. And ये process फिर से चालू होता है, finding more about a diagnosis, and then head banging, and that becomes more symptoms. And that's how the autism is something which has become a very cluster of problems. It's not a cluster of problems. It's three things. Let me tell you. और जितना simple रखोगे उतना अच्छा होगा. Lack of communication, lack of interaction, and presence of repetitive behavior. Lack of communication, your duty. Lack of social interaction, parents' duty. Stereotypical behaviors, therapist duty. Okay, if you take this properly, and then within 2 to 4 months, the child starts doing amazingly well. Let me tell you. But we give more stakes to their performance. Okay, work on reducing symptoms than identifying and working on hidden hidden issues. Okay, making the issues transit into next level of development. So as I said, hand flapping or toe walking. Let's say toe walking has, I have a special video for that. Toe walking has a lot of TLR and all those things. So a number of reasons behind it. लेकिन हम लोग toe walking के लिए, there are so many people who are giving weighted cuffs, caliper, so many things are given. Some people are given a Botox also, which is actually, my God, I said this is not necessary. But somewhere when we don't know the cause of a problem, then we see the problem as a problem, a symptom as a problem. But symptoms are not problem. Most of the developmental disabilities, the symptoms are not problem. Okay, I repeat, if you stop looking at the symptoms, then you will actually be able to observe the real child who's waiting for you to get connected, with mind, body, soul, and heart. But sometimes the symptoms becomes a पर्दा बन जाता है उसके ऊपर, और वो हम लोग सिर्फ पर्दे के थ्रू ही हमारे बच्चे को देख सकते हैं. Sometimes पर्दा हिलता है तो उसके पीछे का बच्चा भी नहीं दिखता है. Sometimes symptoms are at more, but if you नजरअंदाज करेंगे अगर आप वो symptoms को, तो आपको हर वक्त आपका बच्चा दिखेगा, and every time you will be able to work on your child. We compare them with same age kids and try to make them perform with respect to their same curriculum. So he diagnosed at the age of 4 years with autism. So, I put him into the junior KG, and he's studying all those things with respect to this. See, I'm not against of academics. I have a special branch for academics in my center. But academic is something like should happen after the real developmental milestones happens. Like the child is oriented, thinking, imagination, emotion, decision-making, problem-solving is developed from his own experiences inside a house first. The child is oriented with his house. Child is thoughtful about his house. Child is connected to his people around. He's not connected to the people around and send the child at the school, and we expect the child should mingle with those kids. Child is not happy when the father comes home, but we expect the child should say hi to his friends. This is something expectations and looking at the performance. Okay, why? Because in comparison to other kids, we want our child to behave in the same way. Is it right? Is it wrong? No, I don't want to connect this thing. This you have to identify. But if it is happening, then actually the child is suffering. Okay. Academic is focused more than the development. Family operates through stress and results into the less interaction. Yes, there are many times when when the child is suffering, then automatically the mother and father also stop interaction, जो एक fun based interaction होता है, जो joyful interaction होता है. The father comes with a lot of eagerness to meet mother, to meet his wife, to meet his child. The male ego starts either gets more emotional towards the child or get more detached from the child. This happens with the male ego. Right or wrong? No, it's not right and not wrong. It's a fact. It's a normal human psychology. Okay. We focus more on fitting our child into the society without working on integration into the family. वो सोसाइटी में अच्छा रहना चाहिए, लेकिन फैमिली में वो उसके साथ हम लोग कैसे बिहेव करना चाहिए और वो फैमिली का एक इंटीग्रल हिस्सा कैसे बनना चाहिए, इसके ऊपर देखने के बजाय हम लोग उसको सोसाइटी का हिस्सा बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं. And that's where the symptoms are given more focus than the hidden problems. One thing I would like to tell you all, that autism, when the child was diagnosed at the age of 3 years, that time autism did not arise. Autism started arising at the age of 4 months, when some kind of a reflex did not develop or was abnormally present. At the age of 6 months, when that reflex could not get integrated. At the age of 10 months, when the sensory motor stage of play did not get developing, the child could not understand the information from the environment. The child could not get appropriate information from the environment and store it in these things, and could not integrate that information with other senses. So autism was developing since then, and since then the development was going lower and lower side. We came to know at the age of 3 years, but at that time the child is actually operating like a 1.5-year-old child, or maybe a 1-year-old child. So what we are supposed to do? Should we go from the 3 years and high, or we should come down to the 1 year where the child is actually operating like a normal child? I always ask this question to my parents, whomever is CRC. I just tell them one thing, and if your child is 3 years and having so many problems and all these things, this is the one sentence. And second sentence is, my child is 3 years, okay, but he behaves like a normal 1-year-old child. And the parent says, agrees to the next second sentence, that parent becomes eligible to work in CRC. That parent is eligible to take treatment in CRC. Because unless and until the parent is not aligned with the development, nobody in the world, even God cannot help the child with respect to development. So the parent over here should come down. That's very important. So that's my next point. As a result, we become a special child parents. Why? Because of all this, we do what we are not supposed to do. We become a special child parents. Because our expectations does not get fulfilled. Child's performance never gets fulfilled, never gets perfect to as per our expectation. Then symptoms keeps increasing. Some other symptoms keeps coming because child is not connected emotionally. We are not connected emotionally most of the time. No, we are connected with the performance. We are connected with some kind of a thing, deliverables to the child, family. ये सारी चीजें से we start proudly calling ourselves as special child parent. Many people will not like this proudly calling self, but let me tell you, the nature has not given two types of different parenting. Like this is a autism parenting and this is a normal parenting. The parenting is a parenting, and sometimes it is fast, sometimes it is slow, but it has only one dimension to go. वो इसी के लिए एक ही रोड है, उसके लिए कोई अलग से दूसरा वाला रोड नहीं है parenting के लिए. Let me tell you. And when we try to find another way, then we go more into the misery and these things, and then we feel that we are doing a lot of hard work, but still the child is not able. What we don't do, which was supposed to do. You can take a photograph of this particular thing. Focus more on the child's ability to interact. आपका child अगर eye contact नहीं दे रहा है, वो अगर नहीं हो रहा है, लेकिन जब वो खाना खाता है तब आपके पास आता है, right? और जब वो आपके पास आता है, and that is the best time that you can interact with the child. Okay, so focus more on the child's ability to interact. वो कहाँ पर able है हमसे interact करने के लिए, because autism or most of the developmental disabilities are not the the uh, the the symptoms are not very important. The parental, the environmental interaction is more important over there, you know. So focus more on the child's ability to interact. Okay, वो interact करता है जब मैं उसके साथ गुदगुदी करती हूँ, वो interact करता है जब मैं उसके साथ पानी में खेलती हूँ, वो interact करता है जब मैं उसको स्कूटी पे बिठा कर गार्डन में लेके जाती हूँ, वो interact करता है जब मैं उसके साथ घास तोड़ती हूँ, वो इंटरैक्ट करता है जब पापा आते हैं और पापा उसको उसको घोड़ा बनाकर ही करते हैं. At that time my child's eye contact and all those things are not at all a problem, Dr. Sumit. No? When the parent says that yes, you are doing the right job, that means you are focusing more on the child's ability to interact. उसकी ability, उसकी interaction की capacity कहाँ पर है, कौन से context में है, no? वो context में अगर हम लोग उससे interact करेंगे, then slowly you can increase the interaction levels with him. And believe me, when you are increasing that interaction, you are actually reducing the percentile ratio of social interaction dysfunction in the autism. So at that time, you are actually curing the autism. Okay. So, but most of the time, we don't do this. Next is focus more on the child's actual age of performance than the age of lack of performance. वो कहां पर परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहा है, उससे ज्यादा वो कहां पर परफॉर्म कर पा रहा है, मैं उसके ऊपर ज्यादा देखूंगा. चाइल्ड इज ADHD, no, he cannot sit for half an hour because he's not sitting in the classroom. तो उसका sitting tolerance पे बढ़ाओ तो उसको half an hour बनना चाहिए, Dr. Sumit. I said no, your child can sit nicely for 3 to 4 minutes. That's his ability. So in that 3 to 4 minutes, if you try to create a performance, if you try to create an activity, if you try to create a assignment for only 3 to 4 minutes, and then let it happen, let him get let him complete it in that 3 minutes, and then just give him a pat. Wow, you have amazingly, you have completed. Child will understand that I can complete. So far the child was getting, out of 100 times, he was getting 100 times that his job is incomplete. But the more the child starts getting an insight that I am completing my job, I am the best performer in that 3 minutes, slowly you can increase that 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. And a day will come that he will go to the half an hour also. But if you don't look at this level and you keeping the high end, which is as comparison to others, then it is very difficult. The child will start showing a lot of behaviors. I hope you all are understanding me. Please put it into the chat box. Give more importance to connect. Connect is a choice. I want to connect to a person. It does not depend upon the circumstances, that person's behavior, that person's attitude, that person's these things. But if I want to connect, it's my choice. It's my own belief. And if it is my own belief that I want to connect, then nobody in the world, not even that person, can deny of connection. Do you all agree with me? Please put it into a chat box. Do you think that connection is dependent upon the opposite person? Do you all think that connection is dependent upon the opposite person, or it is dependent upon your own intent? If you have the end product with the mind, body, soul, and heart, and anyhow I'm going to get connect with this person, then a person can go and reach to the Prime Minister also, and maybe any person in the world. So it's very important that to connect with someone, it's not somebody else's behavior, it's temperament, it's your own choice, it's your own belief. And if you are very sure about your own belief, then you are confident, then you are compassionate, then you are caring, then you are loving, and then you are transferring all those right intents to that person, and that person has to nail down, has to bow down for your connection. And this is a very, very important thing which I'm trying to tell you. अगर ये सारे लेक्चर में सिर्फ आपने ये सेंटेंस भी ले लिया ना, तो भी बहुत important है, तो भी बहुत, I think the 2 hours what we spend or what you are spending, okay, is worth. So we should give more focus on happiness and joy through interaction, create more interactive environment in the family. So it's not necessary that my child is suffering, because that doesn't mean that I should stop talking with my husband and my husband is and I become more focused in my child. The child is a is a molecule because of those two atoms, the mother and father. You know, so whatever the mother and father will do, okay, whatever the mother and father will do, the child eventually is going to do it after some time. Maybe after 1 minute, maybe after 1 month, maybe after 1 year, maybe after 10 years. But if you are indulging into the right sort of relation, right sort of emotions, right sort of interaction, right sort of communication, right sort of play, n number of things are there which are compassion, which are arising from the compassionate. The child is going to follow you only, not from autism. Autism is not a some person who's telling him you have to behave like this. Autism is just a symptom. The child's mind, body, soul, and heart is derived by you and not by autism. Okay, it's very, very important. So the family, जो एक थोड़ा सा एक नेगेटिव एस्पेक्ट आता है once after the diagnosis, थोड़ा सा एक इंटरैक्शन में कमी आती है, थोड़ा सा we lost interest into each other, or we get more interested into his problems. That means we are operating from the fear and some kind of a negative aspects, which is not important. Everybody know, but still we cannot control it. But now I'm just trying to put all these facts in front of you. Let's start working on it. Let's give a smile to your husband. Every day you give a smile. Every day, if a father is listening to me, give a nice smile to mother. Take her near. And you will see that your child is also approaching both of you, and he's trying to become kebab mein haddi. And अगर ये severe बच्चा भी अगर ये नहीं कर रहा है ना, call me that Dr. Sumit, this never happened. I'm ready to stop all these lectures. So it's not about severity. It's all about what kind of a energy you create for him to come out of that autism. Yes. So that's very important. Create a more interactive environment in the family. I have seen the severe autism child is more possessive about a mother. मदर किसी दूसरे बच्चे को लेती है तो उसको पसंद नहीं है. इसका मतलब तुम उसको प्यार करने से अच्छा मुझे प्यार करो. Why not? No. बहुत बार हम लोग ये थोड़ा सा मस्ती में लेते हैं, लेकिन अगर इसके पीछे का इमोशनल कंटेंट अगर देखेंगे तो everybody will actually understand कि what exactly autism child needs are. And once the needs are fulfilled, two things will happen: the gratification, the happiness, and second is the satisfaction, and third is learning. And that learning will be interaction and communication. Remaining speech, language, stereotypical behaviors, you just leave it to the professionals. Don't ask them what is my goal. Next 2 month में 3 month में क्या मैंने expect करना चाहिए, ये point of view. और आप मुझसे क्या expect करते हो कि मैंने क्या करना चाहिए. But you keep doing this particular thing that we are supposed to do. This slide is the most important slide of this lecture. And when the right steps are taken, then the nature-based parenting starts developing inside us, and that's called the biological parenting. Be it you, be it me, be it anybody else in the society, we all are operating from the biological parenting. Unfortunately, when our child starts suffering, when we come to know something wrong about our child, and then we lose that biological parenting and we go into the fearful parenting. And later on, that fearful parenting gets converted into the spatial parenting. So I don't want to call any parent as a spatial parent. Why I should call you as a different parent? You're a normal parent. Only your child is not 4 years old. Your child is a 1 year old, and you start behaving like a 1 year old child, and the world will look at you as what a compassionate parent he or she is. Believe me, this will happen. And इसके बाद भी और एक चीज बोलता हूँ, कोई भी पेरेंट के लिए अपना बच्चा एज से कभी बड़ा नहीं होता. बायोलॉजिकल पेरेंटिंग का एक रूल है, उनका बच्चा एज से कभी बड़ा नहीं होता. डू यू ऑल एग्री और नो? When you will become A 60-year-old mother, okay, maybe your siblings are there, and then your child comes to you. Your child is going to be a child for you. किसी भी मदर के लिए, किसी भी फादर के लिए अपना बच्चा ही होता है. वो शायद एक बड़ा साइंटिस्ट हो, लेकिन उसके लिए वो पागल ही होता है. तेरे को कुछ नहीं समझता, मुझे पता है. नो, मैंने बहुत सारे ये देखे. तो वो उसको भी उसको भी वो छोटा ही ये करता है. तो फॉर एवरी पेरेंट द चाइल्ड इज जस्ट गोइंग टू बी अ चाइल्ड. Why we take it as a, why we take the age as a factor and the diagnosis as a factor? Yes or no? We take it, and because of that, you know, what the right steps we are supposed to take, we don't take, and we take those steps which we are not supposed to take. And that's why the autism becomes a very, or n number of developmental disorders becomes a very difficult disorders. Let me tell you, if it is a dyslexia, child is not able to read. Child is not able to read, but otherwise he's absolutely fine in all his day-to-day behaviors. Lekin just because he's not reading, we make his life hell in every aspect of living. You don't go to play, you don't do this, तूने अब तक पढ़ा नहीं, स्कूल का ये देखो, इसका देखो स्कूल में क्या है. So we try to contaminate his reading issue. Okay, we expose his reading issue to contaminate his social life, his play life, his creative life, his own hobbies, his own habits and good habits. सारियों की धज्जियां उड़ा देती है because we are just focusing on he's not reading. This may also happen in learning disabilities also. He's not just writing. He's gone to second standard. He's writing ulta. He's writing this way. He's writing that way. I asked a parent, after 20 years, do you think that your child is going to write? Do you think that your child is going to? Do you think that notebooks are going to exist? Maybe after 5 years, the notebooks are not going to exist. This industry is going low. So why you're thinking? Why you're taking this, which is not going to happen after 10 years or 15 years? Why you're forcing your child to do it now? Work on his typing. Let him type. तो उसमें कुछ उल्टा सीधा आएगा नहीं. टाइपराइटर वैसे ही कंप्यूटर या जो कीबोर्ड है वो कभी उल्टा टाइप नहीं करेगा. So you are completely eradicating it. So sometimes it's very important to let go the things. Okay, and when you let go the things, then you actually meet the real problems of the child, and then you connect with the child. You understand the child understands you. Okay, and the biggest problems also get solved in this world. So this is something very important, that what as a family, what everyone must do. Understand the diagnosis from the definition than symptoms. Mother and father should not read too much and tell the father too many things. Both of you should sit 15-20 minutes, 2 hours, 2 hours sit, but read only Wikipedia. On Google, only Wikipedia is a scientifically proven and no contaminated knowledge. Read only Wikipedia, but otherwise everybody has their own websites, and websites are giving a lots of their own own marketing and own selling is thinking. We also do, everybody does it. Yes, but if the child is diagnosed with some kind of a developmental disorder, you don't have to see the n number of websites and all those things. Those websites may be selling something hidden. Okay, look at a Wikipedia. Okay. Second thing is, since the child is unable to learn, behave, or develop as per the age, then we need to meet or connect them where they are operating from their best. So I am stressing this since last 5 or 6 slides. So अगर वो 4 साल के बच्चे की तरह हमसे कनेक्ट नहीं हो रहा है, तो हम लोग ये देखेंगे कि वो कौन से मेरे एक्सप्रेशंस को रिवर्ट बैक करता है, वो मेरे कौन से फनी जोक को रिवर्ट बैक करता है, वो मेरे कौन से जेस्चर को रिवर्ट बैक करता है, उसको क्या पसंद है, ये अगर मैं देखता हूं, तो अगर मैं चाचा हूं, मैं मामा हूं, मैं चाची हूं, मैं मम्मी हूं, मैं पापा हूं, मैं दादाजी हूं, मैं दादी हूं, तो everybody will look into this manner, and then everybody will come down from the age of the child to the stage of the child. Everybody will come from the age of the child to the stage of the child, and this is the ideal process for any therapist to cure your child. Okay. Next is create more joyful transactions among each other. That I explained you. It's very, very important. Child does not learn by your suggestions. Nobody learns by suggestions. Everybody learn by relating their own experiences with others. So you have to create those joyful experiences, and every child needs two things. Either they want a joy or they want to do something interaction. They want fun or they want interaction. Because human beings, genes are socially, we are social beings. Okay. So if you try to try to work on joyful transactions, then you will see after a few days the child is become more in interaction, more in eye contact, and now it's a time to start giving him something, transferring something which is possible for him to take it from us. Empathies to the parents. Yes. Just a moment. Okay. Now I would like to take this particular topic at a very, very different level. Empathies, nobody in this world can give right empathy than your own mother, father. I repeat, right sort of empathy आपके मम्मी और डैडी के अलावा इस दुनिया में कोई भी नहीं दे सकता. ओके. लोग देंगे तो वो सिंपैथी देंगे, और उसमें से कुछ शायद उनके भी शायद कुछ स्वार्थ हो सकता है. Anybody agrees to me on this topic, on this note? Anybody agrees to me on this, whatever I said? If anybody in the world who's supposed to give me empathy, then is going to be either my mother or my father, and that is going to be a selfless and without any kind of expectation. But if anybody apart from that, maybe my brother, sister, maybe these things, maybe my relatives, but not like mother and father. Even the brother, sister, everybody will contaminate it with some kind of a sympathy, some kind of a comparison, some kind of a these things. So if you take your problems, if I have a problem, okay, what about sibling, child sibling? Yes, you can take that, take your pain to your sibling, to the child sibling, but I'm a bit apprehensive about it. It happened with us also. When my brother was a special, my middle brother, my parents have suffered a lot in the earlier stages of their development, but I didn't see that they were something behaving different than any other person outside. In fact, they were more passionate. They become more passionate, and maybe whatever I'm giving you all is come from my parents only. That what the passion about the parenting they gave to me. हालांकि ये मैं अपने उनको नहीं बोलता हूँ, लेकिन my father was such a passionate person to me. I'm successful because of him. My mother was such an emotionally connected person. Whenever I had emotional issues with any type of, in my college, in my these things, she was there for me, and she helped me to understand, the critical decisions to take. She helped me in my life, but not others. Maybe my brother Sushant, he gave me a lot of rational decisions, but the person who can take you near and has all the rights to take you near and without any condition will take you near is your mother and father. Okay. So if your child is special to you, mother and father are, both of you are special to your mother and fathers. So there are 4 people, okay, there are 4 people who can give the right sort of empathies to you, provided you connect with them and you go in front of them as a biological child. Let me tell you, as a biological child, not as a doctor, as an engineer, as a falana, and lot of these things. And whatever the issues are there between you two, just go as a biological child and they will give you the right sort of parenting tips to you. Believe me, this happens. Okay. So It's all about empathies to the parents are given by the families. And if at all you want to seek some kind of empathy to your empathy, or you want to you are low in your life, you are stressful, you are operating from sleepless nights and all those things, go to them, call them, and it acts like a best mental health medicine when you talk to your parents, when you get connected with your parents. And the moment you are connected with your parents, you will get connected more with your child. This is what a biology says. Let me tell you, this is what a biology says. Okay, I don't know, I'm just taking this lecture to a bit emotional level, but this is what an ingredient as a therapist I want it from the parent, and I give you the best product in your child. This is what an ingredient we want, because if the child is having an issue, it's an emotional issue. Emotional issue should not become lot of we can say artificial based things. Let it operate from emotionally only. Okay, and that can happen much better. And the people who are practical, let them be practical. Maybe the therapist, maybe the doctor, maybe the doctor, while giving injections to the child, he has to be practical. Okay, if he's emotionally connected with the child, then he will not be able to give the injection. Be it barber also. Okay, so the people who are supposed to be practical, the therapist, let them be practical. The parents, be emotional. When you are emotional, okay, and be emotional with a lot of connecting and a lot of compassion. Okay, if you're operating from fear, if you're operating from some kind of a stress, don't take any decisions. That's very important. So this is the time to love them the most than expect anything from them. So it's very important कि ये जो टाइम चल रहा है, वो बच्चा परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहा है, वो आई कांटेक्ट नहीं दे रहा है, वो शायद अपनी दुनिया में है, एक जगह पर देख रहा है, he's just getting annoyed, he's just showing tantrums or meltdowns, and so many things are there, maybe very mild to maybe severe. Okay, but this is the time to love them. And every autism child is mastered in non-verbal communication. I repeat, do you all agree with, or not just autism, but every child in this world is mastered in a non-verbal communication? Yes or no? Please put in a chat box. So the child who's autism, who's non-verbal communication, that means he's understanding your intentions, he's understanding your emotions, he's understanding your thoughts and all, but he's not able to express that. Mama, I'm understanding. Papa, I'm understanding. So what exactly intentions you try to pass on? That you are not enough, that you're flapping, that you're not speaking, that I want you to ask me, Papa, bolo cake de do. Rather than cake de do, if you say cake, oh my God, I want a cake, I also take it. Chalo, theek hai, chalo cake dete. Because the child is actually expecting the cake, and if you connect to his intentions, that he wants something very, very sweet and all, okay, and when you connect to his intention that he wants sweet, and you express that sweet on your face, that is communication. लेकिन वो बच्चा अगर केक मांगने के लिए आ रहा है और आप बोलते हो से बोलो केक से बोलो केक, that means you are actually miscommunicating with the child. So it's very important that in a biology also says that communication first starts receptive and then becomes expressive. The child has missed out a lot of information in the earlier stages. He missed out a lot of receptive communication. So now he's receptive. Be receptive with him. Be parallel with him, rather than forcing your expectation with respect to what you are expecting from him. So this is a very important example I gave you with respect to non-verbal expressions, how you connect your intentions with the child, and child is always connected to your intentions and not your words. So this is the time to love them the most than expecting from them. And let's revisit a fact of clinical practice, which I told you. All parents, which I told you in the beginning, most of the developmental disabilities, the severity is only in 5 to 10% children. Whatever you are seeing on the Google, okay, अगर आप माउथ कैंसर को देखोगे, माउथ कैंसर, just put it on a Google pictures में जाओ, और माउथ कैंसर देखो तो आपको सारे वो ऊपर 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 सीवियर माउथ कैंसर के फोटोज दिखेंगे. Okay, but you will not get a photo which is not showing any symptom, but just a start of a thing, or mild symptoms. Do you see any mild symptoms on the photos and on the Google? Put in your chat box. आप कुछ भी ढूंढते हो तो you will get a very severe kind of a diagnosis only. उसी के फोटोज आपको दिखेंगे. Yes or no? वैसे YouTube पर देखेंगे तो वो सीवियर काइंड ऑफ चीजें ही लोग दिखाने की कोशिश करेंगे. माइल्ड चीजें क्यों दिखाएंगे? क्योंकि माइल्ड चीजें जिनको है उनको वो वीडियो निकालने की जरूरत नहीं है. वो बहुत अलग अलग चीजों में ऑलरेडी इन्वॉल्व है. तो आप अगर किसी अपने बच्चे को कंपेयर करना चाहते हो किसी वीडियो से, then you are actually comparing your child with a wrong video or with a wrong sort of things. That's why I don't like to put any kind of a videos or kind of not videos but any kind of a pictures over here. Okay, so it's very important that as a professional, when I see hundreds and thousands of kids, I have a statistic data. और वो स्टैटिस्टिक डेटा ये कहता है कि सिर्फ 5 से 10% बच्चों में सीवियरिटी होती है. लेकिन अभी हमारा स्टैटिस्टिक ये कह रहा है कि जो भी 100 बच्चे आए हमारे पास पिछले 2 महीनों में, 3 महीनों में, या दूसरे प्रोफेशनल्स के पास आते हैं, दे एक्चुअली they try to compare the child with the severe issues, and then they get preoccupied with the severity of autism. And that's how the autism may not be that severe in the child, but it's very severe inside your mind. Yes or no? I cannot say that. I cannot ask you this question because this is the particular thing you don't know, that you don't know what you're supposed to know. Maybe. Yes. Second fact is most of the symptoms are pseudo and environmental these things. शायद वो कुछ 1 महीने में, 2 महीने में, शायद 4 से 5 सेशंस में वो चले जाते हैं, and then get rid of it. It's not necessary that child has to come for years and years and years. जो बहुत सारे पेरेंट्स, जब आप किसी पेरेंट को बोलेंगे who is a very active in this particular field, he is active because he's active since the 7 or 10 years. Okay, I repeat, he's active because he's active since the 7 or 10 years, and he will be able to give you only his own experiences, or maybe the experiences only those people who are connected with him, who are going through those 7 or 10 years. So you are just diagnosed now. Don't go for that. That is something contamination. That is wrong. At the same time, that parents also don't know what they don't know, what we are supposed to say and what we are not supposed to say. Yes, for them, autism is 10 years I'm suffering. But those people who had the kids have some autistic symptoms and autism with mild and moderate, they are gone. Maybe one year, maybe 1.5 years, and they're gone. Okay, and now they don't want to talk also. They don't want to talk about any kind of a symptom also, and they don't want to help also. Those people will say, no, I don't want to talk about autism. You go into the professional. That professional will tell you better. Okay, because that person doesn't want to go into that field again. ये मैं आपको प्रूव करके बता सकता हूँ. Okay. Most of the symptoms are pseudo, environmental these things. Most of the behaviors are results of inappropriate handling and expectations. Yes, this we discussed. And more than 50% diagnosed kids gets treated successfully within 6 months of period and can be integrated into the society. And if you are out of those 50%, if one of you is out of those 50% is still continuing the therapies, still continuing some kind of a treatment, then let me tell you, you're doing what you're not supposed to do with respect to your parenting, and what you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Yes. So if you are coming in this particular thing, let me tell you many examples. One of them is like I said, after 7th review of maybe the child started communicating, interacting, started going to school, everything was nice, and I said ki this is the discharge, and I'm very happy to give you discharge. The child is absolutely fine now. You don't have to come back. No, doctor, but no, but he has some issues, he has some this, he has some that. So बहुत बार ऐसे होता है कि वो बिलीफ इतना स्ट्रांगली होता है कि बच्चा नॉर्मल भी हो गया है ना, तो भी वो पेरेंट के माइंड में ऑटिज्म इतना जगह करके बैठा है कि उसको वो थेरेपी सिस्टम से जाना ही नहीं है बाहर. So there were few parents, which we have to, if we deny them. I Dr. Somil will agree to this if he wants to add up. We have to deny them ki don't come. But they say ki no, we want, at least we want to come to group therapy. We want to come this one session by this thing, or we. I said ki you come after 2 months. No, but we want to be a part of one, at least once in a week. They are operating from some kind of a fear. और ऐसे कुछ पेरेंट्स होते हैं ना जो फियर से ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं, तो अगर मैंने उनको नहीं दिया ना तो दे विल गो टू समवेयर एल्स एंड दैट पर्सन विल मेक देम मोर फियरफुल. एंड दैट पर्सन एक्चुअली this happened 2 years back. The child was nicely successfully integrated, successfully everything was nice, and we said कि no, you don't have to come now. Not 2 years, lockdown से 2 साल पहले, sorry, I missed out lockdown. So 4 years back in 2017, that parent we discharged, said you don't have to come. The parent used to come for these things, and then later on, the parent after 7 or 8 months started coming to us, and she wanted to show the child to me. And I said, okay, ये बच्चा क्यों, क्या हुआ? Kept a meeting, and in meeting, I saw the child had started showing a lot of behaviors. I said, this is not in the books. This is not in our protocol, and so this child is not supposed to. Then we came to know that because of some kind of a selfishness, because of some kind of things, and because the parent is operating from the fear, few people took the advantage of it. And then by taking the advantage, the child focused more on the performance, and the parent was, went back to the fear, because of that fear was belief. आप सोने हुए को जगा सकते हो, लेकिन जो सोने का जो सोया ही नहीं है, सोने का ढोंग कर रहा है, ढोंग नहीं कर रहा है, लेकिन वो बिलीफ सिस्टम इतना स्ट्रांग है, उसको आप बिलीफ से नहीं बाहर निकाल सकते. And because that belief, the child is not writing, child is not, the thing became adverse with the child, and child started showing behavior. I said, pity, the child is not, he was not this kind of thing. Why I'm telling you this example? Because this was not the actual child's problem. The problem was the parent didn't want to accept the child is completely out of it, and somewhere the parent was trying to focus on the child's negative aspects only. And because the child was intellectually very well developed, started thinking, started reasoning, started comparing, started associating, started generalizing, started emotionally getting driven, and he started understanding that this is not a thing which I meant for, and he started getting detached from the mother and started showing some behaviors in the family. Outside, that child was absolutely fine with the friends, society, school, absolutely fine, but the child started showing behaviors in the home only. I'm giving you this example because we get so much preoccupied, and this preoccupation, एक बार हमारे mind में वो preoccupation रह गया, तो वो बाहर निकलता नहीं है, and that's called the fear. So this is a slide that more than 50% diagnosed kids gets treated successfully within 6 months of period, and they don't have to see any kind of things. I would like to ask you one question. I just need 10 people should be these things. I don't know, people are there or left. I don't know. Okay. How many people and children are suffering from autism in India? I just want to ask you a question. Can you please put it in the chat box? Just put a number. What do you think? Whatever you think. 10 lakhs. No, don't give me that this thing. Consensus. That's long back. How many lakhs? How many thousands? How many lakhs people are there in India with autism? You feel. 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 1 crore, 2 crore, 3, 10 crore. What do you think? Maybe you're a part of groups. Maybe you're seeing so many things, people around. Maybe you are walking on a road and seeing these things. In India, okay, nahi, 2000 बहुत number का. I need 10 people at least. Just write down into the chat box. How many children or how many people? Okay, 1.5 or 2 crore. Okay. Anybody else? It's not about, let's not look at a percent. The percent is very, very, very subjective, and that's a US poll. Okay, 3 crore. Fine. Yes. Who else? Anybody else? One or 2 crore. Okay. My question to you all is, if 1 crore, 3 crore, 1 or 2 crore people, crore is a big numbers, big number. Do you think if the 1 crore people are there in society, what will happen to the society? What will happen to society? 1 crore people are just moving around in the society. Okay, Dr. Samhita says maybe in thousands. Yes, maybe undiagnosed. Yes, so many are undiagnosed, right? Because there are no so many therapists and all. Maybe few of you are part of some autism groups or some Facebook. उसमें भी कितने लोग रहते हैं? 5,000, 10,000? Yes or no? 10,000 people are in a group, maybe a Facebook group, maybe ये जो अलग-अलग social media पे groups होते हैं, you know. We have a group of autism parenting where there are, let us say, 1,500 parents are there. Okay, maybe in different groups we have. I know around 10,000 parents. Okay. Okay. Yes. So overall India में कितने सारे हो सकते हैं? Okay. तो शायद एक सोसाइटी में देखेंगे तो कितने सारे हो सकते हैं? तो हम लोग इंडिया का ये करेंगे. On an average in India there are 50 lakh people are suffering from autism. Okay, the actual autism. You know, if the consensus says the 2%, 1 in 65, then it's supposed to be like in 1.5 crore people. There has to be around 3 crore children should be suffering from the autism. Yes or no? Somebody said right, 3 crore. But 3 crore is not a number what we are seeing outside. 3 crore at the same time. मैंने सिर्फ ऑटिज्म बोला, इसमें ADHD नहीं डाला, इंटेलेक्चुअल डिसेबिलिटी नहीं डाला, उसमें CP नहीं डाला, बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. क्या आप उतना देख रहे हैं बाहर? Yes, autism is a spectrum, absolutely right. There are n number of behaviors. लेकिन क्या आप उतना ज्यादा देख रहे हो बाहर? क्या दिखने को आ रहा है उतना? इसका मतलब 3 लाख अगर है तो उसमें से सिर्फ maybe 25 lakhs to 50 lakhs people are around, maybe villages, not this thing and all. तो इसका मतलब बाकी जो सारी चीजें हैं, वो बाकी जो सारे लोग हैं वो nicely integrated into society है. Okay, what I want to bring a picture over here, why we are so much afraid of this disorder, that ये मेरे बच्चे को लाइफ टाइम के लिए लेके लेगा. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होगा. आपके बच्चे का अगर 3 करोड़ बच्चे हैं, उसमें से अगर सिर्फ शायद 10 या 20 लाख ही अगर लोग हैं, या 50 लाख लोगों में शायद डिफरेंट डिसऑर्डर्स हैं. ओके, तो अगर उसमें 10 लाख लोगों में शायद बहुत ज्यादा ऑटिज्म है, तो हमारे पास चांस है कि 1 in 30 child is actually is, we can say, suffering from a severe autism or autism for a lifelong time. Okay, so यहाँ पर my request to all the parents who are recently diagnosed with their child, okay, need not be go through that stress, the sleepless nights and all. The sleepless nights are going because of your expectations and not because of your parent child's autism. Let me tell you, it is because of your wrong comparison and expectations. You are looking at your child at the wrong place. लेकिन अगर there are so many biological parents who are not a part of any group, or not a part of any kind of a exchange of symptoms, they are nicely living and helping their child to integrate into the society. Autism is severe only in the groups. Autism is manageable, very much treatable if you are not a part of anything. Okay, so what I would like to say, if your child is diagnosed yesterday, day before yesterday, 1 year back, 6 months back, 6 months back, your child is going to be a very normal child. There are 30 times, than your stresses. आपका बच्चा नॉर्मल होने के चांसेस काफी ज्यादा है, ओके, और काफी कम चांसेस है कि आपका बच्चा सीवियर हो, और वो भी सीवियर होने के चांसेस बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं क्योंकि बिकॉज ऑफ अदर्स एक्सपेक्टेशंस. This is why I wanted to take these lectures to bring a compassion in the families, bring compassion in parents, bring compassion in mothers, who are actually dealing with children, who are actually dealing with professionals, who are actually transferring their stress to the professional, their expectations to the professionals. And these expectations may be right, may not be right, you know, but it is professionals' responsibility also to to confidently tell you that you what expectation you are operating from is not right. It is something pseudo. We will work on your child's this particular thing, but right now it's time to work on connecting with your child. It's not giving some activity and making him do some performance. So thanks a lot for attending this lecture. Thanks a lot for for uh, supporting CRC, supporting us on various platforms. CRC has a big vision of creating a best child development system in all over India, where the detection of all these behavioral, or we can say developmental learning disorders at a very early stages. That's why we have started with the developmental assessment also. Sushant can put the link in the chat box. Also, we have an aim to work on all the parents, all the compassion in the society, so that this compassion itself will take care of all the disabilities. We don't want to equality, we don't want to work on equality, we want to work on an equity, where everybody will be having the same way of helping the child, same way of looking at the child, be the child is autism or a ADHD or a normal or whatever it is, but everybody will be having a kind of a biological mindset to look at a child, and not a dysfunction based mindset to look at a child. For this, we are taking a lot of efforts. We are taking, I am taking a lot of efforts. My team is taking very much different efforts individually with the parents, with the different lectures, with different awareness programs, with different campaigns, with different ability based programs. Like, before lockdown, around 50 kids were taken to Karnala. Karnala is a something like 7,000 feet high, moderate level hike, where we took autism and intellectual disability and ADHD kids to that top. If you are from Mumbai, if you are from Maharashtra, you can understand what Karnala is. And we have a video also. We will put that video. But we want to integrate the ability into the society. We don't want to expose the inability in the society. And that's why n number of awareness programs CRC is running, and we will keep running this because we want to ensure the compassion in the parents. It's very important. Child, every disorder is curable to its level. Every disorder is manageable to its level. Only and only when the primary two people who are looking after the child are positive. If they are operating from some kind of a fear, if they are operating from some kind of a preoccupation, if they are operating from some kind of a illogical things, then it's very difficult to help the child. Even the professional, even the system, even the country, even the overall processes are absolutely fine. Still, it will be difficult. Thanks a lot, parent, for connecting this. We can take one or two questions, and then we can stop. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Saumil, Dr. Nikita.
Sir, can we start parent-wise or the queries which are given in the chat box? We can start with them. The chat queries in the chat box.
Yes, we can take it in the chat box.
Yeah, sure. So there is a query from Dr. Samita. She said that her child is recently diagnosed. Her son is recently diagnosed and is 2.8 years old, and she is too much stressed. So she would like to know how can she further proceed for the same. How can
it's a very early stage of diagnosis. He's still into the early intervention. The brain is plastic. The brain can be, you can nicely transfer all your things to the child. Here you just have to see one thing, okay? That is his social age. What is the age he is operating from socially? Okay, so there is a test for social age called VSMS, and then we can understand what is the exact operational stage of development the child is showing. Now, in that stage of development, you know, when we do the diagnostic tests over there, we see how much contamination is there in that particular age. So he's 2 years 8 months, but and suppose his social age is coming like a 1 year 4 months, but in 1 year 4 months, what are the contaminations with respect to autism the child is showing? So वो 1 साल 4 महीने के बच्चे की तरह अगर है, तो कौन सी चीजें हैं जो ऑटिज्म की 1 साल 4 महीने में भी अवेलेबल है, उसको पहले काम करना है. And then after few weeks or months, you know, he will start behaving like a normal 1 year 4 month old child. And then you have to add more and more parenting, add more and more connection to make it 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, and then this thing, that means it's, I'll just give you an example. Suppose if this is the bottle, and in this bottle only this much of water is there. Let me take this another. Only this much of water is there, and it is contaminated. Okay, so if I put more water into it, the filtered water into it, that filtered water will also get contaminated because this water is having some impurities. So as a therapist, what I should do, I will not put something new into the child's mind. I will get connected over here first. Then I would like to get work on his impurities with respect to sensory processing issues, with respect to NDT and number of things. I would like to make him sure that this is pure now. And then once a child is started showing an appropriate development with respect to 1.4, then I would like to open the bottle and start putting more water into it so that his developmental stage will start rising with a very pure age and very pure developmental milestones. So that's how we should work on the child. Thank you.
Said there was a question from a parent. She said, what if the child has got epilepsy episode and then labeled as MR?
And
how do we know about the labeled as MR? How do we know about the exact diagnosis of the same?
Okay, so now labeled or diagnosed, that I don't know. Okay, but if the child's IQ is coming less than 90, or let us say less than 70, then the child is coming into the intellectual dysfunction. Okay, and now the second problem is epilepsy. The child is having epilepsy. Now what is epilepsy? Epilepsy is there is some kind of organic dysfunction in the brain through which unnecessary impetus or some kind of a stimuli are coming to the body, which are not necessarily they are right, or they are mostly they are abnormal. And then once they come, the epilepsy happens, you know, and then the child goes into the shock phase, and that shock phase may remain for a few seconds, but whatever the learned things may go back. It's a very unfortunate thing. But whenever the child is into the good phase, at that time, with a proper parenting, with a proper identification of his mental processing, his way of developing his inner drives, what he likes, what he don't like, and based on that we can keep an aim that how much is a mental disability, I don't know. How much is the intellectual dysfunction is there, I don't know. I cannot say over here. But we should make him as independent as possible. We should aim towards making him independent. Now, when we say making the child independent, that means making the child independent and not making the child educated and behaving well and all those things. Independent means खुद से खा सकता है, खुद से खा सकता है तो खुद से परोस भी सकता है, खुद से परोस सकता है तो खुद से खाना बना भी सकता है, खुद से बना सकता है, छोटा सा सैंडविच बना सकता है, तो वो ब्रेड लाने के लिए कहाँ से लाना है वो भी हम लोग कर सकते हैं। वो लाने के लिए बीच में रास्ता है, तो अगले 1 साल में मैं उसको रास्ता क्रॉस करने के लिए मैं उसको ट्रेन करूंगा। सो आई विल मेक श्योर दैट माय चाइल्ड इज इंडिपेंडेंट इनफ, ओके, इन नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 years, ओके। जो मेरा सबसे बड़ा फियर है कि एवरी आफ्टर एपिलेप्सी अटैक ही इज एक्चुअली शोइंग lot of issues and some kind of a de-learning with respect to these things. So I will ensure he will develop a lot of independent skills. एपिलेप्सी से लर्न स्किल्स निकल जाते हैं, लेकिन इंडिपेंडेंट स्किल्स को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता है, ये मैंने अपने करियर में देखा। तो वी शुड गिव मोर फोकस अपॉन डेवलपिंग द इंडिपेंडेंट स्किल्स, ओके। दैट्स इट फ्रॉम माय साइड, थैंक यू।
So there is an individualized question from a parent regarding stimming. So he's asked that the child does visual stimulation mostly. What is the best way to reduce it?
I think there is a lecture we have already taken. You can refer them to for the stereotypical behaviors.
Yes.
I have taken a 2 hours lectures on streaming and all those things. A very scientifically oriented lecture. You can go through it and you can understand. But just to summarize it, visual stimming is not an actual visual problem. It's a problem with the neck and eye coordination. When the neck and eye coordination is not happening, the child will try to make his neck stable and then he will try to look to the one side. So that's visual stimming. So don't find a problem in the eyes. Don't find a problem over here. The problem is in the eyes and the neck coordination. Thank you. That's called as a VOR, and I have my own research in the VOR in this regard. Vestibular ocular reflex. Yes, Nikita, next question and the last question probably.
So there is a question from a parent. How do we resolve on sleep disturbance issues? So the child is suffering from sleep disturbance issues. Again, it's an individualized question. How do we resolve on the same?
The sleep is something related to arousal. Arousal is my brain's alertness level. Arousal is very high, then I'm hyper, or arousal is optimum, I'm productive. Arousal is low, I am low, and arousal is very low, I'm sleeping. If this arousal, the brain is not able to establish a proper biological way of setting arousal because of some kind of a vestibular, some kind of a sensory processing issues, then the arousal gets fluctuated. And in that fluctuation, the child may show the sleep disturbances. So for that, you can talk to your therapist, or you can understand the arousal over here. And second thing, one more related to sleep issue is a body awareness. A child is not aware of his own body. Brain is not registering body in the overall body awareness. Then also the in between sleep or in the deep sleep also, you also get up and I also get up if my hand comes down and my hand starts, I becomes numb and all, and I gets very alert. So it's something happens like something same happens with the child if the body awareness is affected. So these two things, one is arousal and second is body awareness. If body awareness is not well registered, even in the deep sleep, the brain will make the body wake up and it will make it alert, because at sleeping time the vestibular processing happens at a lower level. So the brain stops getting enough inputs from the body. It goes so low that child's brain feels that my body's become numb, and that's where the child gets up. So these are the two things, arousal and then body awareness are the most common things. There are other things also, but I feel whatever you're saying is related to these two things. So thanks a lot, parents.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, parents. Thank you, sir.
Also, there was one more question that we had, that can you yes, we do developmental assessment from the abroad parents also. At present, CRC is helping more than 200 parents from abroad, from various countries with respect to its online services. And online services is not about therapies, it's all about parenting, bringing the parent to the child's level. And then there are so many parents who are happy, who could connect with their parents. The child is be the child is 20 years old or a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old. Just because of the parent has connected with the child, the child started showing an amazing development. And then the therapy process is become a just suggestions. Okay, you do this, you do that. And then the parents started doing the exercises in later stages. And wonderful development we are bringing, even not by touching and not by seeing the kid, just by understanding the parent child bonding in the therapy process, in the online therapy process. So that's it from my side. We are going to bring many such kind of lectures for the parents to understand parenting. And if the parenting happens, great. Therapy remains only 20%. I feel 80%, the child is cured there itself. Thank you, Team CRC. Thank you, Dr. Nikita. Thank you to Sushant. Thank you, Somil, to bring this lecture or this level. Good night.